Hello, this is Joe Price from the BYU Record Linking Lab. I'm going to provide some instructions on how to do a family reconstitution project using FindAGrave. This is one of the sheets that we set up for the Laredo Cemetery in Webb County, Texas. So you can see that these three dashes indicate that we were able to find someone on the tree using an automated approach, and the ones that are blank we're not sure about. So what I will do as a volunteer is I'm just going to put my name so other people know I'm working on this one. I'm going to click on the URL to take me to the FindAGrave website. And so here I have Willie Walker Montgomery Jr. So I'm going to use the information about Willie Walker. I'm going to come into any person page on Family Search. I'm going to hit Recent. I'm going to hit Unconnected Person. I'm going to then bring Willie's information over. Okay, male, deceased, and then we can bring over his birth information. And we can also bring over his death information. So we're going to basically fill in these search fields. And then here we have when he died. Okay. So basically we're just going to bring all the information over into this Add Unconnected Person window on Family Search. We're going to hit Next. It's going to look and see if there's any good matches. Now you can see right here that we do have a very good match. Now what's interesting here is that the birth dates differ, okay, but you can see the death dates are the same, and actually if we come back here, we don't have any information about his parents, but this is almost certainly our person. So what we're going to do is just copy the code here for Willie Walker, and we're going to drop that right here in our sheet. We can actually go take a look at Willie Walker, and let's see if there was any sources to confirm that birth date. You can see there's not any sources attached, so let's actually see if we can maybe confirm that information. You see we don't see any information here, so let's put in, so 31 is part of the option. Okay, so this is an interesting situation, and we can go and check to see if there's any records on Ancestry that might be helpful. So here we have his death certificate, which lists 23rd January 1931. So we come over here, 23rd January, which is the same as on the FindAGrave, but it's different than what they have here. We have the FindAGrave record. I'm just checking to see if we have a birth record. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're actually just going to include an edit here on the family tree so that we can search and attach those other records. And so now we fixed the birth date. We're going to now search, and again, let's see, here we have, now I'm still a little puzzled why the FindAGrave isn't coming up here. Let's check to see what might be going on there. So one thing that might be throwing off the search results, we can always take out some of that information. Let's see if the birthplace is right, George is right. So we can refine and then update and see if that might help a little bit. So for whatever reason, this record just doesn't seem to be here, but that's fine. We were able to find the person, and now that PID is here, part of our sheet. Okay, so let's try with the next one. Now again, we click the URL button, and we can close some of our windows. So here we have William Walls. So we're going to come into Family Search. So all we need to do is just go back to a person page, and we can hit Recent. We can hit Add Unconnected Person. And we're going to put in William Falls, male, deceased, and here we have that. And we have a death date. We'll put that in here, and then we will get the death place. Okay, so again, we pull the information we have over from FindAGrave. We check to see if we have any good matches. In this case, we did not have a good match, so we're going to create a new person. Okay. Now at this point, what we want to do is check to see if there's any information here. He has a wife named Juanita Ortiz Walls and a son, Guillermo Walls. Now we wouldn't want to add them to the tree because we're not quite sure if they're deceased, but we're going to go see if maybe we can find William's parents. So one option is actually to click on Ancestry, and we can see what records Ancestry has. So here, Ancestry has a FindAGrave, and then these other records don't quite seem, so we're going to click on the FindAGrave record, and sometimes we'll get other record hints over here. So in this case, we're not, we can also hit Find Other People, searching for Williams. to see if we might find a good match. And in this case, we don't. So we've kind of hit a dead end right here, and that's okay. So we'll just, again, stop there, and we'll drop the PID right here. Now, one thing I did notice is, let's go back to the one we were working on before. So we can go, and remember, we can always use the IDs to go back. I noticed that it took the search engine just a second, but now those hints are starting to show up, and so we can attach these sources. So again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to check to see if the person's already on the tree. If they're not on the tree, we add them. We try to attach sources. We try to add other family members. We look on Ancestry to see if there's any information over there. And then one thing we can always do that's kind of an interesting experience is we can hit View My Relationship. So in this case, it turns out that Willie's my cousin, and we can see how we're related. So here's Willie. Here is my dad. And so you can kind of come back up to our common ancestor. So we have to go back pretty far on this one, but it does turn out that we're related, just in a very distant way. But sometimes you'll discover that the person you're working on is a fourth cousin or a third cousin, and you'll be surprised to have that experience. Okay, let's just do one last one. Here we have James Barney Montgomery. Now notice what's interesting here is we have a James Barney Montgomery born in 1930, and then a James Barney Montgomery born in 1839. So since they're buried next to each other, they might be related to each other. So that actually might end up being helpful to know. So let's pull up James Barney. And again, we go to Recents, Add Unconnected Person. We're going to put this information in. We're going to hit Male, Deceased. Again, we have a birth date. We have a birthplace, and sometimes that's as far as I'll go, because sometimes you know, we'll find a good hit just off of that information. So you can see here we do have a fantastic hit. Now the second person might be him as well, so one thing we might want to do is just copy that code and think about it for a second. Now let's just double check on the death date. Ooh, now this is an interesting case where, now this is where, let's see, so we're going to have James Barney. So he was, oops, here we go. He died, see over here it's interesting, it's saying he died in 1929. Over here it's 1896. This might not be our person. Let's see if we have any relationships over here. So this is tough, we don't have any relationships over here. So this is actually, this is possibly our person. We might have got a little bit of a switching going on. So let's, you know, we have two possibilities. One, we can create a new person, we can expand out, and then eventually maybe merge them back with this other record. The other thing we might do is just go to this person and see what might be going on, to see why this death date differs from what we see here on Family Search. And so some of the strategies that we could do is we would start to attach sources. Here's an obituary. We can see if this is for them. So you can see this is actually going to be for a different person. So again, at this point, we're just going to use our detective skills to try to figure out what's going on. We can also use Ancestry to maybe give us some clues. Here we have the FindAGrave. Here we have a death certificate. Here we have, you know, another FindAGrave, and so this might give us a chance to try to figure out what's going on here and figure out what's right, and make the tree a little cleaner and make it easier for other people to connect. So at this point, I'd probably spend, you know, 15-20 minutes trying to figure this puzzle out, just like I would for someone on my own family. Try to make the tree as clean as possible. But with that, I'm going to stop this video. I think the main point we want to articulate is that the Community Reconstitution Project is a way for us to work with members of our community to try to ensure that everyone in the community is on the family tree. We're all and we know how we're connected to each other, and we can see how we're related, and we can help each other out.